Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Remember, if you like it,
subscribe please.
Tell your friends. So we are here today. It's a little bit more serious topic today. We're going to discuss Grand Mal seizures and our experience with it. We are not doctors, so this is just our personal experience with it. So Grand Mal seizures, also known as Tonic, Clonic seizures. Basically, what a seizure is some kind of electrical activity dysfunction in the brain. And unfortunately for us, this guy over here in 2010, and then most recently 2018, just a couple weeks ago, had a Grand Mal seizure. So basically, we're just here going to tell you our story, how it kind of happened, what his triggers are, what the doctor said, moving forward, and kind of how we're dealing with it at the time. Let's start off with just a little bit of official business. And basically, if you see someone having a Grand Mal seizure, you are going to do the following things. So I have this as a pinnable graphic on my site. So you can go to BrieOCD.com
and
pin the graphic. But this is basically, if you see someone having a seizure, do the following things. Call 911 when needed. Safely lay them on their side if they fall. So a Grand Mal seizure, usually the person falls to the ground. So make sure they're on their side so they're not on their back choking on their spit or their tongue. You do not touch the person. Sorry, I'll get to the do nots. Safely cushion the person's head. So safely cushion their head if possible. Do protect them from nearby objects. So if you know they're going to have a seizure, don't let them fall into other objects. Do time the length of the seizure. You know, tonic, clonic, and Grand Mal seizures usually last about 1 to 3 minutes. If they last longer than that, and especially if they get into like 5 minutes, it's a state of emergency and you need to call 911. So do time the length of it. That's really important, and stay with the person. Okay, do not, if you see someone having a Grand Mal seizure, do not put anything in their mouth. Don't try to touch their tongue. That's like a myth from back in the day. Don't try to move them. Yes, if they're already laying down, make sure they're not on their back, but don't try to move them or restrain them. And like, don't basically try to affect them and let them kind of ride through this seizure unless it comes to 5 minutes. So that's just kind of a little history that's from Northwestern University. And again, you can go to BrieOCD.com to get all those facts.
Or read Northwestern Meds.
So,
online.
yeah. So I have the link on my site. So basically, 2010, what happened? This kid goes out.
This guy, grown man.
Bachelor party. Drinking. Staying up late. Comes home.
I believe there's a party bus involved.
Yeah, party bus.
Yeah.
Comes home like 2 a.m. and, you know, didn't get a lot of sleep. Wakes up the next morning. He puked. I have all this stuff written down. That's another thing. If somebody has a seizure, document the whole thing afterwards of what happened. My friend Dina told me that, and it was a very good advice. So anyways, he threw up that morning. And then he was doing, and which he had done on previous occasions, this twitching. This like rapid, like just twitching. Almost like when you're about to fall asleep and then you come to.
It's kind of like when like you're looking at something and something flashes inside of you and you didn't expect that to happen. So you're just like, kind of like, oh, what was that? That's kind of what it is.
There you go, straight from the man's mouth. Yeah. So he was doing these twitches that morning in 2010, and you know, we're just like, what is going on? This kid has no history of seizures. Like, there's no history here. So, like, what is...
pristine figure of health.
So, they're like, what is going on? So then, it was a football Sunday. We're going to be going to my buddy's house, and he's in the kitchen drinking milk out of the carton. You shouldn't be doing that. But it was only the two of us. Drinking it out of the carton, and he like twitches and the milk goes flying everywhere. And I'm like, dude, what the heck? You know, look, we don't know what's going on. So like, what the heck? So then we go to the market. I just stay in the car. He's not like feeling right. So I drive. He's hungover. And he goes into the market, goes to get beer for our buddy's house for the football Sunday, and comes out and says he almost passed out in the line in the market. And I'm like, that's not good. Like, that's not normal. but whatever. Gets into the car. I pull out of the market parking lot and I go up the street, and out of the corner of my eye, I see him twitch, and I look over to be like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Like, what is wrong with you? And I look over and I do not expect to see his foot up my dashboard, his arms straight out, convulsing, moaning, sorry, but it's the truth, convulsing, moaning, and like eyes rolled back into his head, and you can see, well, no, you can't see, but the electrical activity is like, literally like if you pour water on a robot and they melt down. So I pull over, I jump out of the car, I have no idea what the hell's going on, and there just happened to be one guy, a Patriots fan, thank you, saving the day, walking down the street, and I yell to him to call 911. And basically, I go over, this is the scariest experience of my life. I go over there, and he's still seizing, and eventually he just slumps over. And I honestly think he's dead. I think he's dead because he's not breathing, and he slumped over after this whole charade, this show that he just put on. And I'm like rubbing his heart, rubbing his chest, saying, just breathe, and like nothing is happening. His eyes are rolled back, and then all of a sudden he starts like spitting up, like almost like sputtering, like coughing, like if you were like drowning, spitting up. And I'm taking it, and I'm chucking it out the car. I'm chucking it. The kid is on the phone with 911, and all of a sudden he looks up at me, and he's looking at me, but he's not there. Lights are on. Nobody's home. Well,
which that just happens on a normal day.
No. So he looks up at me, lights are on, nobody's home, and you know his hands are kind of like that. It was super scary, because if you've ever witnessed this, you don't understand how somebody can go from that meltdown, because that's like what it is, a meltdown, to being normal again. I never experienced this before in my life. So the ambulance finally comes about 10 minutes later. He's still, like, they're asking him questions. He's not there. His hands, which he's a basketball player, to see someone's hands, like, crunched up, it's really, really scary. So he goes to the hospital, mind you. He doesn't even have insurance. So that's another layer of stress on all of this at the time, at 2010. Goes to the hospital, and all the tests come back normal. They're all normal. So it's like, you know, what is it? What was the trigger? What did you do the night before? And he drank heavily. And so they said, you know, alcohol withdrawal is one of, he's not an alcoholic, but alcohol withdrawal, we were young. This was 8 years ago. So we were, still 29 years old. Alcohol withdrawal sometimes simulates these symptoms, and it's really like dehydration. And that's what they kind of boiled it down to. Go ahead.
Well, they still don't really, nobody really knows what causes seizures or what causes epilepsy. It's just kind of like a thing that they have found it to be kind of hereditary as well. So it could just be some type of gene that you're born with, or something that you're born with that easily allows other outside triggers to perform this whole thing that happens.
The show he puts on. The show he puts on is Oscar worthy. Is it the Oscars?
I don't know. I should have won a Critics' Choice Award last night.
He has the Grand Mal of Mal. He does the Grand Broadway show, folks, and it is scary. It's terrifying. It honestly is terrifying.
It's scary, but you know, here I am. I'm back on video, talking to y'all, and I'm okay right now. You know, things can get better.
You're okay, you're not 100%.
Yeah.
So when he has the seizure, I witness it. He blacks out. He is gone. He's not here. So he doesn't remember any of it until I'd say about an hour later. He finally comes to and starts remembering things. So I mean, basically what we do after the first one, he stopped drinking because that's what they thought it was from, drinking. So not thinking, I don't think they ever did an EEG. We went to the neurologist, had an MRI, which was normal. You lose your license in California when you have a seizure. They are legally mandated to report it to the DMV, and you automatically lose your license. Back in 2010, it was for 6 months, automatically. So lucky at the time, he worked from home, so it wasn't as big of a deal. But took him to his neurology appointments. He quit drinking for like at least 8 months. maybe even so much as a year. And that was basically it. That was basically the end of the story for that. And he really didn't drink a lot. He would have one beer after, like, say, the year passed. He'd have one beer and have water the rest of the night. Well, over 8 years' time, you start to slip back into those ways, and he still never gets drunk. Like, he hasn't been drunk since 2010. Never gets drunk, but has had more than one beverage. And on this fateful day, about 3 weeks ago, the kid didn't drink any water. Not one.
I'm usually very good at drinking water. Beer water, beer water. That's what I usually
And he didn't have one sip of water. We went to his Christmas party on the Friday night. Saturday morning, he took our friend's dog for a run, so was doing some exercise. Went to a couple breweries. No water. Like, none. And then we went to a party that night at like a coworker's house. And he didn't drink any water. And I'm not good with telling him to drink water because I don't drink enough water myself. And he's good with it, so I didn't bother. And so we go home. We were home by like 10:30 because I'm an early bird, so that's late for me.
Hard time.
Late night partying. And so the next morning, I wake up. I actually even slept in till probably like 6:15 or something, and that's late for me. So I wake up at like 6:15. I go do my thing. I had done a big deadlift the day before, so I posted my video. I'm all amped up on my 310 deadlift. He comes down. I just finished posting it, and then all hell broke loose, basically. So Keurig was on the fritz that day, so I said, you want to go up to the Starbucks up the street? And he said, yeah, sure. I said, well, bring the dogs up there. They'll poop, whatever. And he goes down to put the leashes on. I say, I'm going to get a gift card. He, all of a sudden, comes back up and he's sitting on the couch over here. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You're supposed to go get coffee. What are you sitting down for? The dogs are downstairs. And he's like, I'm not feeling well. My stomach and my head feels funky, is what he said. And it could have been 2010 yesterday because it immediately took me back to 2010. And immediately I was like, did you twitch? And mind you, he had twitched in the bathroom and didn't tell me that he twitched in the bathroom. And he goes, no, I didn't. And he like moved his leg. And I'm like, was that a twitch? And he's like, no, I was just moving my leg. And then his right leg went and did the, I almost just popped in the face. Pow-pow. His right leg jerked that twitch, the knee jerk, and I said, I'm calling 911. And he's like, no,
she's good. Just
take me in the car. You can just take me. I'm fine. I'm like, hell to the no. Hell to the no. You already had a seizure the first time in my car. I'm not going through that again. Like, it honestly is terrifying. And when you don't know what it is and you don't know what's coming, and God forbid, hopefully this never happens again so I don't get used to it, but I said hell to the no, and I called 911, and he's laying there, and I'm trying to be calm, but I can't even find the keypad to dial 911, and so they end up coming. He hasn't had the seizure yet, and they're like, Liz, you had a seizure, and I said, no, but it's coming. I know it's coming. Hurry the hell up. And the dogs are still down in the entryway, haven't gone out yet, and they're supposed to be put away, but I don't want to leave him, and the paramedics are coming, and I see them pull up, so I go down to the entryway. I'm not supposed to leave him, but I can't be welcoming the paramedics, getting the dogs out of the way, watching him all at the same time. I can't do it all. So I'm freaking out and trying to be calm. And the paramedics come in, I'm holding the dogs back, and they call up to him to make sure he's alert. And the kid gets off the couch and starts walking towards the stairs. Thank you, Lord, that he did not fall down those stairs, because if he had the seizure, or if he tripped at the top of the stairs, this could have been 20 times worse than it already was. And he starts walking down the stairs, but I got the dogs, I can't leave him with the dog. And he fumbles on the last step. And the lady, the paramedic's like, oh, why don't you sit down, sir? Like, sit down. She starts asking him questions. I'm kind of answering, he's answering, and I say, you know what? They're taking care of him now. I'm going to run to the corner with the dog so that I can follow them in the ambulance with my car. And I don't know if that was a mistake or not. It's like part of me. Well, let's say I go to the corner with the dogs.
What's going to happen.
I go to the corner with the dogs, and I'm literally there for like, I wouldn't even say a minute or so. I just say, go quick just to get something out and run back to the house. And he is in the driveway on the gurney, full on seizing. And I could see it from the back side this time, not up close and personal. And I'm mad at myself for going to take the dogs just because I didn't see the progression of what happened. So I have that account of actually what happened. And if he fell, if he whatever, and the ambulance hasn't gotten back to us yet. At the same time, I didn't need to witness that firsthand again because it is, I'm gonna start crying. It is it's scary. It's scary to watch a stranger, this happen to a stranger, never mind someone that you love. You know, it's scary. And at least this time I kind of knew he should get back to normal because I had experience from the first time, but it's freaking terrifying. So the ambulance takes him. He has no recollection of any of this. The ambulance takes him. I follow. About 5 minutes later, I bring the dogs in, grab a bag, and run after him. And when I get there, he's still kind of like out of it, and his stomach is like moving up and down like this, but he's under care. They're putting the electrodes on him and, you know, kind of just asking him questions and taking care of him. And again, the CT scan comes back normal. And so we're just thinking, again, he drank the night before with no water, so dehydration, alcohol. We're thinking it's that, right? So we're there for about 5 hours. Everything looks normal. They give him Ativan and they give him liquids. Ativan is seizure medication to stop him from having any more seizures. And we go home. We have neurology appointments. So what happens after that? We have neurology appointments, and they want to book him out though, like 3 months. And I'm like, he just had a seizure. Like, oh, let's wait 3 months to see if something happens again. Like, we need to get in. And luckily, Scripps got him in, and we went for the MRI and the EEG, and the MRI came back normal, but the EEG.
Yeah, it was severely abnormal. So what they said with that is it's basically seizure disorder. There's no doubt about it. So not exactly epilepsy, because I guess you have to have, what I read, it's something like a dozen in a week or something like that to be called epilepsy.
Yeah, I asked the neurologist, so what's the difference between epilepsy and seizure disorder that she classified it as, and she basically just said the frequency. At this point, because it's only had one in 2010 and one in 2018, she wouldn't really classify it as epilepsy at this point, so let's hope it never gets to that.
They still want to go on meds. They still want you to go on meds.
So she wants him to go on, she said it's your choice. Yeah, you always have a choice. But they want him to go on meds, and I had mentioned that he, since he was younger, gets migraines, and she said, oh, I'm so glad you said that, because there's a specific seizure medicine called Topamax, and there's one other one that I saw today when I looked it up, but Topamax deals with migraines and seizures. So tell him what all the side effects are. So seizure medication doesn't necessarily stop the seizure, but it's supposed to prevent whatever those triggers are to having it. So it only kind of reduces your risk. However, there's a slew of side effects that go along with this. And they're not just like minor side effects. It's nausea, dizziness.
I thought I was saying all the side effects.
I've been doing research, so.
This is my job.
But there's a slew of side effects that he'll get into. But it's like he's had one in 2010 and one in 2018. 8 years. You're going to go on a seizure medication that you have to take twice a day for the rest of your life. Twice a day for the rest of your life. And if you don't get the medication right, and you have to play around with it, because that's what you do, play around with the dosage, that in itself could trigger another seizure, playing around with this medicine. I mean, are you kidding me? So tell them what some of these side effects are.
Oh, just some of them. This is about half of them. Mood or behavior changes, anxiety, panic attacks, trouble sleeping, feeling impulsive, irritable, agitated, hostile, aggressive, restless, hyperactive, mentally or physically, depressed, or have thoughts of suicide or hurting yourself, vision problems, eye pain or redness, sudden vision loss, confusion, problems with thinking or memory, trouble concentrating, trouble with speech. I'm just going to keep...
I thought he was only doing some.
Signs of too much acid in your blood. I didn't know that was a thing.
So here's the thing. So these medications twice a day for the rest of your life only kind of maybe reduce your risk, But they come with all of that, the possibility of it. And I guess a lot of people do have problems, so they play around with medicines. And a lot of times, the first medicine doesn't work for the person or only works a little bit in some areas. So then they prescribe another one on top of that. It's like that comes with a whole nother onslaught of problems. So I basically said to him, I'm not a fan of the medicine, but this isn't my body. So you need to make the decision.
So we decided to try the CBD oil.
So he did some research.
Things.
You did research and found that CBD oil has been good for people with epilepsy and people with seizures. Mm-hmm. So he asked the doctor about that, and she said they're actually testing it in kids. They're testing the CBD oil in children. And I said, really? In children and not in adults? But apparently it's for people with severe epilepsy that are also disabled because of the frequency of their epileptic seizures. And so they're trying it on that, and it's getting good results. So we went to Urban Leaf, a place near us. He talked to the guy, and we got some CBD oil. Then my buddy owns this Growth Industries that's like a leader in CBD, hemp, and the industry. And it's much purer. It's like G1001 grade, which is the closest you can get to an FDA grade CBD oil. And that's coming in the mail. So we ordered some of that. So we will see how that, it's Buddha Hemp. So go to bhemp.com, BHEMP hemp.com, and check out his stuff. So it's, like I said, it's closest to FDA grade that you can get for CBD oils. So that's kind of where we are at this point. Yeah, I've been doing that for 2 weeks. Three weeks since the new year. It was like January 1st, January 1st.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. It's been feeling pretty good. I still feel a little off at times, like kind of nauseous, dizzy. Just kind of, a little bit disconnected. But I'm still all there. I'm still hitting my jumpers. And I'm back to playing basketball. I'm in the gym. So I guess I'm doing a bunch of things like hydrating.
Coconut water, buying that on...
Hashtag Costco.
Hashtag Costco. Hashtag bulk. Hashtag I like bulk. Things that I cannot lie.
But no, I'm just trying to... And not drinking, obviously. I'm just trying to cut down on any sort of triggers there might be out in the world. So
lots of non-alcoholic beer.
Oh my God.
And free wine. Oh, we don't have it there. Free.
FRA. We could do a whole testing on, tasting thing on non-alcoholic beers. Yeah. Who knew? There's so many.
There's a lot of German ones.
German. You thought they loved to drink beer? They love apparently to drink non-alcoholic beer just as much as alcoholic beer. It's great.
So that's where we are today. Trying to get this guy's health in order.
We're good. I'm healthy. We're good. We're just trying to continue on with the health. Not trying to have any bumps in the road. And trying not to have this happen again. So CBD oil for now. Further down the road, if God forbid he's not feeling up to par after we kind of play with this, then maybe we'll reconsider the actual medicines. But they're harsh, man. The medicines are harsh, and it's just maybe not worth it for the length of distance in between them. So here's 3 months of him not having his license. So now it's at least 3 months. It used to be at least 6. Now it's at least 3. I didn't even talk about that. Now I got to deal with her driving. Driving Miss Daisy over here. Just call him Miss Daisy. Morgan Freeman. Mm-hmm. Probably drive better with blindfold. Need to put some freckles on my face to be Morgan Freeman. It's a lie. So, anyways, I'm driving him to work, from work sometimes, wherever he's going to go. She's very nice. Miss Daisy over here. Check out my blog at BrieOCD.com. And remember, if you like my channel, subscribe, please. Tell your friends. We're going to be coming back with some YouTube lives. Having a little weekly show, happy hour with the Hansies. So make sure you tune in. Subscribe, please, so you can get the alerts. Tell your friends. Go Eagles, even though we lost. We're still winners. So, Grand Mal Seizures, not a fun thing, but doable, and there is, it is scary, but there's life after the seizure. There's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. That's me. I'm the pot of gold, baby. Yes, you are. Touchdown, pot of gold.
Anyways, all right. If you like my channel, subscribe. Give me a thumbs up and tell your friends. Let's go. Peace.
Bye-bye.